we shared a video about this guy who explains the Matrix, Dracos, and AI. And at the end, he says the AI is a good thing. No, it's not. AI is not a good thing. It's enslavement of the mind through AI. Okay, so when we fell into captivity, we were put into a deep sleep. That's the Matrix. And I also explain reincarnation because there is reincarnation. So we were put into a deep sleep when we broke covenant. Now the Ruach is back. The Holy Spirit, who you guys call the Holy Spirit, the Ruach is back. That's when Daddy poured the water, because we're in the age of Aquarius, back. So the Ruach is back. So that's the spirit of truth. That's when it says that I will pour my spirit onto you and your sons and daughters will prophesy, because that's what happened. That happened in 2020, which is the apocalypse year, which is 2012 in the 13-month creator's calendar, and on the Gregorian calendar is 2020. That is the year of the Antichrist. That is the year of the apocalypse. That's when it all started. So when we fell into captivity, we were connected to the Matrix. The Matrix is the womb, the matriz of the goddess, Skynet, because her name is Net. Well, who is Net? The great goddess, the creator, androgynous. That's why they push that so much. That's the inversion of man and female, male and female in one vessel. That's why they push it so much. But the creator is male and the Ruach is female. That is the mother.
They're gods, right? They're masters.
I think it is. I looked at some of the royal families of Europe going back over the last 100 years, and they jump out at you. The male qualities, they are actually comical.
It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, the royal families of Europe are full of, trans people. I mean, that's kind of mind-blowing.
It is. Now, you could imagine that would have been feasible in the old days, before the use of photographs and video and all of that, where people wouldn't get to see them very often. And when they did, they wouldn't get much chance to study them.
Yeah.
When the camera became available and video and film footage, we had a brief window where we could see them in the raw, if you like. But in the last 20, 30, 40 years, they appear to have greatly improved the quality so that they're much more convincing transgenders now.
Yeah.
And of course, they carry out more surgery on them now. I would recommend, if you're interested, to go out and check some of the junior members of the British royal family. Once they're around 5, 6, 7, 8. They are just like little boys. But by the time they're 13, 14, 15, between the chemicals and the hormones, the surgery and so on, they will be more convincing females.
Yeah, it's just such a strange thing to do. For just normal people like us, we just think, why would anybody want to change their gender or, try to do this deception?
Yeah.
Now, do you think it's something they have to do to please their gods, right? Their masters?
I think it is. I think it's part of this cult, club, society. Mrs. Thatcher made a famous remark years back. She was one. She spoke about a certain person who was getting above a station, and she was saying, he is not one of us. And, at the time you would tend to think, well, they're speaking only of the power elite. But we have a different coloration on that now, because we see it could possibly mean that he wasn't a member of this club.
One of us.
I think the Mitfords used to have a term, you and non-you. And if you're one of us, then of course there must be some physical evidence that you have joined this club. Now, I don't think all of the males have to do it, or even all of the females, but it is quite obvious the more I study this, these people hate natural women. They hate natural childbirth, they hate natural marriage, they hate natural families.
Is that their hatred of humanity in general? Or
it seems to be whether it's so Satan hates women more than men and they carried through, or whether it's part of a general strategy that they are following to wipe out the family, separate sex and marriage, separate the rearing of children from their parents so that the state raises and brainwashes the child, and where generation takes place without the uterus. Because the striking feature of an androgyne is the thing you can't see. They don't have a uterus.
Great point.
You know?
The fake pregnant bellies.
Well, that's it, the fake pregnancy. But this is what they all have in common. The men don't have a uterus, and the women who are actually men don't.
Yes.
So you see, Satan hates this because that's the means by which the Lord brought Christ into the world and caused the defeat of Satan. And also Satan in the garden, he went for the woman because he could deceive her. Satan is attacking women. And you see how they're suffering by trying to lose weight and bulimia and all kinds of neurotic practices and exercising to death simply to look like one of these strange transgender gargoyles. I mean,
and not wanting to get pregnant.
The murder of children. Is anything more pleasing to Satan than to have a mother kill her own child?
Like I always say, behind every powerful man, there's a powerful woman. Happy Rockefeller, she was just a dandy, just a beautiful soul. Let's look at her when she was younger. Gah! The beautiful photo standing next to Pat Nixon, short for Patrick. Oh yeah, you could ask anybody in Washington in the 50s who they had a crush on the most. Happy got the most votes. But we all know today that Chuck Schumer's wife takes the cake. She's one of a kind. Hopping over to Europe, you got Bridget Macron with her son, Landon. These leaders just have the most beautiful wives I've ever seen. Personally, for me, Michelle Obama, you are the hottest first lady in history. And your brother, Michael, Jesus, could be on GQ every month and I'd still buy every issue. Oh, Barb, you know I couldn't forget you. Tisk, tisk, right? You had shoulders bigger than Brian Urlacher.
People have tapped their religion is to have their body become inhabited by demons, all right? That's what it is. I've read it, okay? This is all documented. They use hidden coded language and symbols, but pearls represent the secret, the secret mysteries, the hidden gems, the secret sauce, the secret teaching of all ages, the secret doctrine, the secret societies. They have a lot of secrets. Well, it's hiding in plain sight if you have eyes to see it. It's right there in front of you. What is that? What are you looking at? What is that? Is that a man or a woman? Come on, it's not that hard. Now, obviously, this person resembles Aleister Crowley, so probably is some kind of relation there. They're all kind of related somehow, right? At the end of the day, they got some kind of special bloodline that they're preserving. Practice androgyny, which means there's a controlled breeding program. They don't reproduce normally. It's controlled reproduction, new and improved, according to their beliefs. Got sperm and egg and synthetic biology, whatever is going on, they seem to be enjoying it. All first ladies have been androgynous alchemists. All right, it's pretty obvious. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, come on, man, that's just a nasty old woman. It's a nasty old man, all right? Come on, man in a wig, all right? And it's a secret. Don't tell anybody.
Happening is that Abba is unlocking us from the matrix and getting us out of it. And now they're trying to get people to voluntarily get back into the matrix. And the way they're doing this is through these devices. And through vaccines. And once you put this in your body, you'll be connected to the matrix, to the machine, through AI, which happens to be a Luciferian force. So it's internet, the internet of bodies, smart cities. That's what it is. So when he tells you that AI is not bad, he is lying. Because I tell you, these things speak in half-truths. So this is the enslavement of humanity, Borg mind, through AI. And they're going to do it through these smart cities and through these vaccines. Okay, so in other words, Abba's unlocking us and pulling us away from the matrix. And they're having you, because they use a lot of fear tactics, to get into the matrix voluntarily. That was the vaccine. They spread all these fear tactics so that people were getting these vaccines. The same thing with the real ID. They always use fear to get people to comply. Okay, but what Daddy's doing is breaking down the system and pulling his children out of Babylon.
Draco Tech, what is that?
Draco technology is fourth dimensional cybernetic implants that the Dracos themselves have used to plug people into certain cybernetic structures in the past when the planetary energy was in a much lower, heavier state. There was a lot of these huge infrastructures, these cybernetic infrastructures that plug people into a false reality.
No, it's not good, is it?
No. What I have come to understand is that Draco Tech, it is implanted on people to hinder them from awakening to who they are, hinders them from perceiving reality for what it really is, and makes them perceive themselves small, other people small. It can hinder you in just about every way possible.
Antonio, who puts this Draco Tech within somebody?
So there used to be some kind of funnel installed within the fourth dimension as well. When many souls would incarnate, they had to go through this funnel and they got Draco Tech implanted on them, depending on who they are, because everyone's soul signature is different, everyone's mission is different. So there were specific Draco Tech that were installed within certain souls that carried certain codes to run a particular mission, and it was to hinder them in a very particular way.
What is consciousness traps?
It is a perspective that traps people's mind into a way of thinking that is not conducive to their spiritual growth.
Does that happen a lot?
I see it very, very frequently. And this is something that I try to address in the best way that I can to help people understand how to spot these things and how to prevent themselves from falling into these consciousness traps, because these consciousness traps are intended to limit people's ability to connect with themselves and to limit their own perception of reality.
Do people get themselves trapped on their own or outside forces?
It could be from outside forces, like outside spiritual influences, but also with many people that they follow, reading perspectives, reading all kinds of content, ingesting video content, written content, reading books. These consciousness traps are everywhere. Some of these people have very good intentions, but they may not always understand everything that they are sharing or how harmful some of those perspectives can be. When you ingest someone's information, it's not just information, it's affecting you on some level subconsciously.
We hear a lot about the matrix. What are matrix grids?
So the matrix grids are mechanisms that manage our reality. And of course, our reality is comprised of many different layers. But a matrix itself, it's basically a geometric crystalline. So if you can imagine a platonic solid, and it could be any shape. So that would be a crystalline matrix, like it's made out of crystalline energies. And within it can either contain a planet, a solar system, a galaxy, and so forth and so on. So there are many different size and layers to these matrix structures, and each of them have their own grid system. And so these grid systems are different colors. They affect different aspects of reality. They basically manage the ecosystem of our reality.
Are these matrices good things or bad things?
So these matrices originally, they are good. They are created to basically manage the many different layers of reality. But unfortunately, many of them have been hijacked. By malevolent artificial intelligence.
When we get into more intelligence, artificial intelligence, there's been a concern that they're going to take over the planet. Are you concerned about that?
Not at all, because that is not what the higher timeline is indicating. This is more of a lower timeline. This is a projection from the artificial intelligence itself. where it wants as much of the collective as possible to align their consciousness with that reality so that we can manifest it. But that's not the timeline that we're on at all. It's the complete opposite.
The 15-minute cities is something that the WEF has created called C40, and it's called C40 Cities. I would urge you to certainly look on the internet about it, and then go to all of the TikTokers and see what they're really saying. Basically, you won't be able to drive a petrol or diesel car anymore. You'll have to buy electric. If you want food, you will get a calorie-controlled system sent to you by text saying, this is what you can eat today. This is what you can have today. If you violate any of these things, they'll freeze your bank account. That is the next step. These are stages in which they're going to implement this stuff. And this was signed up by the WEF, and the WEF has signed up with our mayor in London as the chair. And he has gone around the world to communicate this C40 to all of the countries in the world. And most of the countries are looking at adopting it. Now, I am going to abolish it. It is a hopeless position. We are going to be in an open prison, or shall we say a COVID, for the rest of our lives. We will not be able to work unless it's in our 15-minute city. It's diabolical. It's not right. This is not the right thing. And it's been hidden from the public. No one's talking about it.
Hi there. I really admire your page, and I admire the thorough research that you do. No, they're not blood clots. And what I'm about to say is going to sound really crazy, but I trust you will look into it. Look into intra-body nano network administered through VAX. Just type in those keywords. Then look into transhumanism. Then look into the Internet of Bodies. Then look into how the Internet of Bodies is going to tie into and become the foundation of this new digital financial system that's coming. And then it's all going to make sense. It is self-assembling nanotechnology for the purpose of creating a carbon nanotube network within the human body to make the human body a device that can eventually be linked into the Internet of Bodies. Hi there.
Call it part of the fourth industrial revolution.
One of the features of this fourth industrial revolution is that it doesn't change what we are doing, but it changes us.
The very idea of human being some sort of natural concept is really going to change. Up until now, the conversation we've been having is around freedom of speech. Once we can access people's thoughts and access people's emotions.
The focus, as all of you know, today is on what's now called the Internet of Bodies, involving medical implants and other kinds of devices that go inside your body, and all together with the Internet as a whole comprise the Internet of Bodies.
The Internet of Bodies, or IOB, is actually an ecosystem. It's a bunch of devices that are connected to the Internet that contain software and that either collect personal health data about you or can alter the body's function. We think of the Internet of Bodies as this collection of all these devices as well as all the data that the devices are gathering about you. And in healthcare, Internet of Bodies has been around for quite a while.
So the Internet of Bodies, imagine the power of AI. What is artificial intelligence? It's a way to automate computation and cognition. So we can now automate learning, perceiving, doing computation. It's a pervasive general purpose technology that will be used in all of our industries, that will come into our professional networks, our private networks, our schools, our industries and our offices. What I wanted to epitomize with the Internet of Bodies is this notion that we will be under assessment, we will be under measure of computation in every aspect of our lives in the future. From what you eat, who you date, what you buy on the internet, how much energy you use, but also what are your vital signs.
You convinced me that these deportation camps that they're building are for deportation. Why would you need camps that can hold tens of thousands of people if you're going to deport them? If you're going to deport them, you would put them on a plane and fly them out of the country. They're building detention centers in every state in the country. thousands of them, because they got over $100 billion in the last budget that they got. So they literally have a budget bigger than most militaries. And they're building detention centers in every state in the country. You don't build detention camps for people you want to deport. You build detention camps for people you want to exploit and use as slave labor. Look at any time in history that any government has built these kinds of camps. They don't use them for deportation. They use them for slave labor. And if you think that there's a good chance you won't end up in one of these camps, then you really need to read more history. Because eventually, you will end up in one of these camps.